This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Welcome back. She has written some really great books about this. This thing has challenged many, many of us, some of us not even knowing that we're challenged by it. She certainly has dealt with it over the years, which inspired her to help people move their lives forward through coaching and also writing books. I'm talking about narcissism. Today, we're going to talk about the cult surrounding it. And she's got a lot of insight. Eye opener for me. I've heard the term narcissism for years. Yeah, I had an idea what it was, and until I learned from her, more of us deal with it than we really realize. You know, people in our lives may be practicing it and challenging us. Dare I say, abusing along the way. So let's get some insight. Professional of the Year, she is. Sherry Canino is back with us. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you, Steve?
I'm good. Now, the cult thing, we're not really talking about, in this instance, narcissism, a legit cult, are we?
So, if anybody's ever listened to Richard Grannon, he's pretty well versed on narcissism and has probably been around. I don't think he does one-on-one coaching anymore, but he's probably been around a lot longer than a lot of people talking about narcissism. And he actually had a class that he did with Mark Vicente, who was in the Nexium cult. And him and his wife were. So I took that class. It was probably, I think it was like 20 hours of like, it was really like instruction or whatever it was online. And I just, of course, binge listened to it back, I don't know, a few years ago, but very insightful on how very similar being in a narcissistic relationship is very much like he calls it a cult of one. I don't want to say I coined that phrase. I didn't. And it really is. And I saw the correlation, in this class that I took, and where I was away this weekend. I'm very glad that I had the education in that, because I do believe that because seems to be an uptick of narcissism, I think there's more little cults out there going on that people don't really realize. And, the Midwest is known for like cult central, I want to call it. I hate to say that. But, even me, who's so well versed, this last week when I was away, it took me a while to catch on. Like, people who do this, they're good. I mean, class A manipulators, and you go into different things in your life. You might go to retreats, or you might go to an event or something where, like you said, sight unseen, you maybe not know people. Now I brought a young girl with me, and I didn't catch it at first. There were a few little weird idiosyncrasies that I was like, this is a little bit bizarre, but you kind of try to keep an open mind and like, let me learn, it was an instruction sort of thing involving horses. I'm not really gonna say out there, I need to protect the young girl that I was with as well, because she was the target. And there was a bit of a minute where I was pretty nervous. So, I guess for me, I'd like to kind of just share like some of the signs that I saw after the fact that I didn't see in the very beginning. So it was
Now,
a very small.
I just want to make sure,
Go ahead.
for reference, you go away, you went to an event. you realize, wait a minute, this seems a little culty. Then you essentially, based on the evidence there, confirm, my gosh, we walked into a cult. Oh my, whoa. Um, I had no words, but I can
I
relate
can't
to
tell me.
this. I joined a men's group. I've shared a few times back when we got together, and I went to a retreat and read up on it, and they were talking about it could be a cult, but there's always gonna be negativity around everything. Um, Signed up, flew across the country, had no idea what I was getting into. It looked culty when I got there. But I will say it wasn't a cult. Some will, you're always going to have negativity. It's a support group for men, community, leadership, and all of that. And and I'm not stupid. I don't drink that Kool-Aid. I would know right away.
Mhm.
But when I first arrived, I was just, processing what I got going on here. But it seems like you did, and then you verified that what you walked into was a cult. How do you define cult?
So I don't know if I actually have a definition because this is definitely something that shook me. And it was something that I've never actually encountered that I know of. One, like in the flesh, so to speak. Narcissism, yes. And I'm not saying that that was any better.
Hmm.
I'm just saying that this was another level scary to me. I mean, the minute that I realized that we were out of there. Um, so I mean, I guess the way cult is kind of defined is that it is like, it's like a religion.
Hmm.
I mean, it's not a religion, but a lot of times they do actually use God, Jesus, whatever their God may be, to rope people in. And that was definitely a little part here. Um, the very first red flag was the very first day when we got there. Introductions, no problem.
Hmm.
But they start off right away, and I missed it. Pretty much, quite a few people there came with a partner, a friend, somebody they were with, a parent. There was a mother daughter, me and my friend's daughter. Um, whole gamut of ages. Um, and they separated us. They split us up into groups of two, but not with the person we came with. Now this is a horse thing, right? So there's really no reason, you know, we're not. And they asked us weird questions, like told us to close our eyes, and they were gonna move people around and stand somebody behind you, and that was gonna be your partner. And one of the questions they asked were like, do you are you spiritual? And you had to raise your hand. Nobody was to look. And another question that they asked was um, something like, do you get offended easily? So that should have been a red flag. What does this have to do with horses? Nothing.
Right?
And I missed it, and I let them pair us off. I mean, I really liked the person I was with. He was very knowledgeable in what we were doing. So I was kind of like, oh, I'm glad I got the partner I got because I'm trying to learn here. And it just as the time went on, it just more and more things, just little things. Um, you know, and my son even opened my eyes to a few things because we were having a phone conversation about some stuff, and he goes, I wonder how many of the people were in on it. So what looked like a small intimate venue with, I think there was 12 or 13 participants, and then it was the lady running it, her husband and her son, and then her daughter-in-law. So it looked like there was no people there, right? A lot of horses, but no people. And I'm like, wow, they take care of all these horses. I have four. That should have been a red flag. Well, they weren't well taken care of, and the horses were very stoic, and so was the son.
Mm.
He had no life in him, you know? And they do, that's what they do. So when you're in a narcissistic abusive relationship, they steal the life out of you to the point where you eventually just become not yourself anymore. They hijack you. And it's a pretty scary situation when you realize. And the young girl that I was with was the target for sure in my little group. And she didn't see it, you know. She's 17. She's not stupid, but
So I want to see if there's a parallel here. This group was connected to a passion, horses. You went there for that purpose.
mhm.
A narcissist, when they're trying to pull you on in to their personal cult of one, is there often a commonality that they might use?
So in a cult, without a doubt, I mean, they're narcissistic, but without a doubt, the lady was a psychopath. So very calculated. So even Professor Sam Vaknin says more people that we're dealing with out and about that we're like, oh, they're narcissistic or they're highly narcissistic. Most of them are actually psychopaths. That's not better, but that's not better. They know what they're doing. They're the Jeffrey Dahmers of the world. They're very calculated in what they're doing. Um, and that's the reason why when oftentimes I'm just going to speak from the woman's standpoint, but it certainly can happen on the men's as well. Um, when they get what they want from you, so a psychopath may, they're very, very targeted in exactly what they want from you. So if you have money, they might want your money or something, access to it, or you to buy them something. They may want to, use you for sex or, um, I don't know, worse, pimp you out. I have no idea. They usually have a lot of bizarre sexual fetishes. I'm not saying that they're the only ones, but that is a trait. And so they use entrainment. So they repeatedly, and narcissists will do this too. And it's also a frequency, I guess, that they speak at. I can't really talk that much about it because I'm not that well versed in that. But Professor Sam Vaknin has a lot of videos on that, and he says it's something like that bands do, and they end up, being able to really jive together because they are on the same frequency. Not to say that people in a band are narcissists. It's just, it's something that they're able to do, and that's how they sound so good together.
Hmm.
And in a cult, they will do that, and narcissists do that, and a lot of repetitious in what they say and what they do. Um, it's just very freaky. I don't know. They're so, I mean, they will continue, like, okay, example in my last relationship, constantly saying, I don't cheat, I don't steal, and I don't lie. There's probably another one that he said, but um repetitiously in different circumstances where they find a way to like continue to say that. So they're basically brainwashing you. I mean, that's what a cult does. But the narcissist does the same thing, or the psychopath. They're brainwashing you into saying it enough, think about commercials or anything else.
Hmm. Drilling that
Eventually,
drilling that message in, and
yes.
on the marketing side of things, and the research has been done on this all the time. And it always comes back to around the same number, but it's 7 interactions, 7 times of hearing a message over and over again. Then you're going to take action. Well, I'm going to go buy that, or I'm going to call them, or I'm going to go to the website, whatever it is.
Right.
So I can see that, the continuous. But you know what I'm seeing here also, and Sherry, tell me if this is possible. The narcissist says, I don't cheat. I don't steal. I always do the right thing. Do you think they're also trying to convince themselves of that, whether it's true or not?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know if they're even trying to convince themselves, but they're definitely saying the things that they're going to do that they don't do them. So they really, by saying that, they believe, you know, they believe that when they go and do those things, they're not doing them because they've said it to themselves enough times that I'm not doing it. So they gaslight themselves in a sense into believing. Yeah.
Well, do you think that in their minds, like, let's go on the, I don't cheat. So they're telling you that, trying to make themselves look better. And they probably are saying that because they are unfaithful, but then they will come up with a reason. Well, you know what? In my mind, yeah, that's not cheating. I'm just hanging out with a friend. So what? I'm texting somebody a lot, a
Yeah.
lot, a lot.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
cheating. No, I'm not cheating.
Well, unlike us, unlike people who are not diagnosed with a personality disorder, um, they don't really have, like, the other person might be having it, but they don't really have emotional affairs because they don't get attached to people the way they don't have the empathy and stuff. So they don't, so, in their minds, they're really using that person. It's a form of supply. So yes, it is cheating. You and I would look at it as cheating, but they don't look at it as cheating because they don't feel anything, just like they don't feel anything for us.
Oh, okay.
So
Hmm.
that's why it's always a double standard. They know if you or I were to go cheat, because they did, we're like, well, you did. What's the difference? There's the difference. They don't look at it the same because they don't we aren't the same. And they know that. There's some level of knowing that they might not know why they're so different, but there is a level there. And both in with cults and with narcissists, there's always some sort of sacrifice. So, um, in this instance, they were actually sacrificing a horse, an older horse, but she shouldn't have been put down. We did not say for any of that. We did not know that was going to be happening, but it's a trauma bonding situation. Um,
Ew.
so
Oh, this took a turn.
yeah, so the narcissist also, there will be, you are sacrificing yourself, but they do it by pushing your boundaries, and a lot of times it is in the sexual end. They will push you to do things that you're not comfortable doing. And so I don't mean to end on such a you know, going towards the end of the show. I don't, but I want people to know that's a like that's a very big red flag in when you're already partially trauma bonded to somebody and you think that you're in love with them, and then they push you over the edge to do something that is very uncomfortable to you. It might be, you know, group sex, or it might be, just something that you wouldn't normally do. Maybe it's stealing, you
How do they
know?
get you to do that though? And what's the motivation? Like, obviously, they've got an agenda, whether it's physical, whether it's stealing, whatever it might be. But is it the thrill of the chase? I'm going to get them to do that. I want them to do that. Or they're not really even aware. They
That's their
get,
hook. That's their hook to get you. Now you're bonded in a way that you've done things that you now feel ashamed about.
and
So,
how's that benefit the other person? Do they make you feel better for doing it? And that's the other part of the hook.
yes, yes.
Okay.
So
So,
then when you do it, and you like, I'm going to say from the girl's standpoint, then when you do something you would never do or you don't want to do, and then you're possibly crying about it or afterwards, then they console you and they're like, it's okay, it's fine, it's normal.
mm,
And it's not, or it's not okay for you. Maybe what's okay for one in the bedroom might be, not okay for others, but they're going to find what's not okay for you is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, you know, somebody might have a more colorful sex life and that's fine and they're okay with it. They're going to find something that you're not okay with.
are they
Or they're
doing that because that's what they want? That fulfills them, or are they looking at their victim, if you will, and thinking, well, they would never do that. Well, they would never do. I want to see if I can get them to do that.
maybe a little bit of that, but most narcissists and psychopaths have a little bit of um, sadists and masochists in them to some degree. So, more sadists than probably the masochist, but both, So they're gonna want, sadism is getting enjoyment out of somebody else hurting, you know. So
Mm,
I've heard a lot of survivors like, been slapped around and things like that, very, very rough before even, the act. Things that most probably wouldn't consider intimacy,
hmm.
You might get a little, you know, like I said, colorful in the bedroom, but most people aren't going to want to be slapped in the face.
Is this also a product of submission? No matter what it is, whether it's in the bedroom or, hey, let's go walk into that store
Control.
and let's grab that, just walk out. You can do this.
Yep.
You got this.
Control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what it is. It's just control.
Yeah. So the red flag to look for is what they're pushing you to do that would really cross an ethical boundary of your own
Yeah.
in some way, shape, or form. And, in a cult setting, this young girl was like, made it very adamant. I'm not going to that. I'm not going to be a part of that. And they got her alone for 45 minutes. Very, very slick. Very slick. So if you're ever in it, if people are ever in an environment where all of a sudden, like, you're with somebody and I went to the bathroom and I came back out and I didn't know where she went. It was pretty
Well,
scary.
um,
But in that amount of time, they're convinced that she should go to that. Well, needless to say, we did not. But narcissism, cult setting, like if you feel if you feel strong, don't let a group of people or a person push that boundary to making you do or be in an uncomfortable position, like leave. Find
well,
somebody to call. If you're in a group, I wouldn't necessarily trust anybody in the group. Just go because there were definitely others that were involved.
oh, thankfully you spotted that. You pulled the ripcord and jumped out of the plane, or vice versa.
Mhm.
Um, but just what an interesting parallel between that situation, cult, and narcissists. This is what you do. This is what you figured out. Reclaiming Your Life, The Silent Abuse. Two great books you've written. You offer coaching for anybody dealing with this or just abusive relationships. Sherry, best way to find you? How do we do that?
My website, which is soulfullywild.com.
I truly appreciate your transparency on all of this. You've been very masked down along the way. And
Yeah.
here's another situation that just, you just going, to an event involving your passion and those with
Yeah.
you, horses. And it's amazing what's out there.
I know, I just want people to be careful because the world is scary. Sometimes it's just, you just don't know.
Things, I wasn't surprised up until the point you said the, elderly horse sacrifice. And that's just like, no words, got no words.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Steve.
Appreciate it.
All right.
We'll
Bye-bye.
be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.